Hey YouTube Void, what's going on? How was your week? Hi, my name is Rachel. I am an artist slash part-time reseller that makes part-time pay, which you will see very shortly, slash person who is obsessed with sustainability, saving things from the landfill, not pointing to my boobs, pointing to my shirt. Climate change is real, and rolling all of that into one fun YouTube series that nobody asked for, and quite frankly, nobody's watching. And additionally, sprinkling in a little bit of a new way of doing business, which I have coined as empathic capitalism. Now, if you're like, WTF is empathic capitalism? Really great question because I made it up. Basically, it is an idea of doing business where the idea is not just to make money, but to also be a part of the community, to give back, to also provide excellent service, and to, just do more than be like try and get as much money as possible and be beholden to shareholders. So that's what I'm doing.
That was the worst thing I ever heard.
It was terrible.
It was horrendous.
Well, it wasn't that bad.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, there were parts of it I liked.
Yeah, I liked a lot of it.
Yeah, it was good.
It was great.
It's wonderful.
Oh, bravo.
More.
Is it working? No. Right now, it is not a viable business idea, but we are working at it because sometimes great ideas just take some work. So that's where we are.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
So yeah, that's who I am and what I'm doing. Basically, also too, I'm showing the realities of owning a small business, specifically like online retail, and how much the margins matter, how important the numbers are, because there are two things. You have your gross profit and your net profit. Gross profit for my brain is generally like what the buyer pays. Net profit is the amount that you take away after everything is said and done. And that's taking away fees and costs of goods and taxes and all that fun stuff. And the difference between those two can be huge. And so I wanted to show a little bit of at least my reality. I watch a million YouTube videos that with resellers who are just killing it. And if anybody ever comes across this and is like, I need help, like probably watching them is great. I'm just showing the reality because I don't think I have any wisdom to impart because I don't know the person that I'm talking to. I think, especially as an artist and an actor, context is important. Understanding people's why is super important, and the details. And so I can't impart any wisdom without knowing what the circumstances are beforehand. So I'm just trying to provide data. I spent the last 2 months waxing poetic, getting on a freaking soapbox to talk about my philosophy and life experiences. Now I just kind of want to focus on, every week talking about like things that are affecting business in general, or at least affecting me, like with my business. This last week in sales were horrible. Like I have spent so much time like bemoaning, some really horrible sales. And luckily I am also an artist, so I'm able to like make money and pay most of my bills by being a performer. I'm very grateful for that. So reselling is not the determining factor whether I have a roof over my head. So I am able to like do things and to like give back and all this stuff because I have the privilege to do so. A lot of people are not. And I'm very glad that this is not my main source of income, because regardless of how many videos I watch, it just seems like it's a really hard way to make money. And at least that has been my experience. So other people may have had it a lot easier, and, that is their experience. But, in case anybody is watching this and struggling, listen, you are not alone. And yeah, or let's say you are doing amazing and you're like, this person's an idiot. Yeah, 100%. Like, look at this face. Am I like the reseller du jour? No, I am just learning as I go. And so you can feel better about your experience and your like business by seeing how horrible mine is. But all of that being said, my week last week, and it was my birthday on Sunday, but like it was bad. And so let's talk about that and get those numbers.
Help me, I'm poor.
But the title, and like, I don't want to be clickbaity. I 100% hate that we've got into like a world of algorithms and stuff. And like, I can't tell you how many times I click on a video thinking it's going to talk about something and then it's like not. And I'm like, oh my God, like just be honest about what you're going to do, right? So this is me being honest. So basically my title is talking about the post office because for my birthday, the post office just decided to increase their prices. That is a lie. Basically, they made this decision regardless of whether it's anybody's birthday. But I like to be like, hey, happy birthday to me. And it is going to affect me a lot. I think it will affect a lot of small retail sellers, especially that ship things. I also think that it's, going to mean that I'm going to have to make different decisions. So let's have a chat about that. The post office increased their prices. What is it? How does that affect me, at least? Because like I said, I can't talk about anybody else, but let's talk about how it's affecting me. This sounds so actory. How is this affecting me? And also, what possible strategies can I come up with to help offset this in any way? And so let's actually like read what's on the, USPS website. So basically from March 25th, they announced the Postal Service announces transportation related time limited price change. The U.S. Postal Service filed notice today with the Postal Regulatory Commission, the PRC, regarding a time-limited price change. It's funny that they say time-limited because I will be completely honest. Maybe they have, but I do not remember whenever they do their limited price increase that the price increase doesn't just stay that way. But, I could be lying. Regarding a time-limited price change to better align its costs of transportation with the market. This temporary price adjustment will provide needed flexibility for the Postal Service by helping to ensure that the actual costs of doing business are covered as required by Congress. While this price increase is a time-limited adjustment, emphasis on time-limited, right? It will provide a necessary bridge to a permanent mechanism to reflect market conditions in prices for competitive products that can support the Postal Service's ability to achieve the universal service obligation in a more financially sustainable manner going forward. That's a lot of I feel like lawyer speak, but it's just, yeah. Anyways, the planned price change, which was approved by the governors of the Postal Service on March 24th, thanks, governors, is an 8% increase that would affect base postage prices on the following retail and commercial domestic competitive products, which were Priority Mail Express, Priority Mail, USPS Ground Advantage, and Parcel Select. So, because I do a lot of Ground Advantage, this obviously has affected me. No other products or services would be affected, including first-class stamps. Pending favorable review by the PRC, the price change would go into effect at midnight Central Time on April 26th. Happy birthday to me. And would remain in place until midnight Central Time on January 17th, 2027. At that time, the Postal Service can determine if a different long-term approach is needed. Okay. Transportation costs have been increasing. Really? No kidding. And our competitors have reacted with a number of surcharges. Great. Competitors? Okay. We have steadfastly avoided surcharges, and this change is less than 1/3 of what our competitors charge for fuel alone. So even with this change, the Postal Service continues to offer great value in shipping with some of the lowest rates in the industrialized world. Blah, blah, blah. The time-limited price change is consistent with industry practices and will support the Postal Service's ability to continue achieving its public service mission, providing a nationwide integrated network for the delivery of mail and packages at least 6 days a week in a cost-effective and financially sustainable manner over the long term, just as the U.S. Congress has intended. So that's a lot of industry speak and big words and stuff. And it's like, basically they're saying we're keeping on par with our competitors. What competitors are they talking about? Well, basically UPS and FedEx, because in, at least in the United States, because there are other companies like DHL and stuff, like that's it. So, and they're doing surcharges, which I've noticed. And so the post office is like, great, everybody else is doing it. Let's do it too. It's like, I feel like what thrift stores started doing. So thrifting and reselling became very popular during the pandemic. That's when I started, honestly. But it was a time when people were home, the idea of making money from home and like finding treasures and then reselling it became very popular. So thrift stores came in and were like, great, we have a greater demand, so we'll increase the prices. Then the other thrift stores were like, well, our competitors are raising their prices, so let me also be competitive. And I'm like, and then, suddenly the Goodwill goes from, charging 99 cents for a tie to like now like $7. So
The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
is the consumer benefiting from this? No, 100% not. And I get it. I do not have the information as to what the post office costs are. And there is a whole discussion about, whether they should privatize the post office and all that junk. And it's like, the problem is I think it is the problem with everything else. Try not to get political or anything, but it's like costs of everything rising, which makes it harder and harder for people to do things. Like when it comes to the post office, companies like Poshmark and Amazon are able to get discounted shipping. Like Poshmark can provide a flat 5-pound shipping label, Ground Advantage, for under $7. I cannot do that, especially due to these price increases. Actually, what they get for a 5-pound label is about the amount that I have to pay for something going 8 ounces across the country. It's going to be like 6 something. So when they talk about this whole thing about being competitive and blah, 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 I'm like, okay, great. They're being competitive, but they're not looking at the service that they're trying to offer. Like, what about people that, just want to send a present to a family member across the country for their birthday? Like, the costs have gone up and up and up. It makes it more difficult for people to do like things like that, or to like, ship things. And especially when you're a smaller company and you don't have the ability to negotiate prices, then, as the costs go up and up, you're competing with the companies that can. With like Amazon. Amazon has Amazon Prime and they have a whole setup on themselves, but now we as consumers have gotten used to free shipping. But regardless of whether I say something is free shipping on eBay, I am still paying for a label and I will still pay those prices. And an 8% increase is a lot. I actually this last weekend, right now it's Tuesday, but this last weekend I had quite a few sales, especially on eBay. And I had to do the labels on Monday. I was trying to do them on the weekend, but like I said, I had birthday stuff going on. So it was like, I was busy. So I was finally able to get it done on Monday. And it was like the sticker shock of seeing that 8% increase was palpable. It was so stressful. So that's what's going on. As of right now, the post office has increased their prices again. And like I said, a lot of times they say they're limited time. At least in my recollection, that unless I'm being delusional, usually those things end up being permanent. So that's what's going on. Happy birthday to all of us.
Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
And, it's not just the post office. The price of everything is like going up. And so it's, it just adds on to the overall stress that people feel as prices for everything, for fuel, for food, for, insurance, for my dental bills goes up. this just adds on top of that. So how does that affect me? Well, good question, Rachel. And because the fact that nobody watches this, like I'm just talking to myself. So Rachel, let's have a private conversation, right? How is this going to affect you? Well, it's going to eat into your profits. Especially because I personally do so I sell on 3 platforms. I sell on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. Poshmark provides their own label. Mercari has the option to do, you can say to them free shipping and then you provide the label, so you have to purchase the label. Or you can go through Mercari's shipping labels, which I do because a lot of times they have, especially for heavier stuff, they have better discounts than what I can get, again, as a small-time seller. And I also use, when I purchase shipping labels, I go through a third-party platform who also gets discounted shipping through a company called Pirate Ship. So even with that, I'm still not getting a better deal than Mercari and Poshmark. So on eBay, that is the only place where I basically purchase labels. And it doesn't matter. You can do 3 things when it comes to shipping. You can do free shipping. You can do calculated shipping, which eBay then calculates the shipping cost and then provides that to the buyer and they pay that amount. Or you can do a flat rate shipping. Now, it doesn't matter which one you do. It's more of an optics thing because at the end of the day, you're going to end up paying for the shipping label, whether you have the buyer pay for it or you end up paying for it yourself or you bake that into the price of the item. You're going to buy a shipping label, right? You're going to be spending money. So I do flat rate shipping. I have personally had bad experiences with calculated shipping, specifically because they're not here with me. They don't really know, I can give them information, but I don't know until something sells how it's going to be packaged, what the weight is going to be, what the dimensions, if it's a box. And so they're kind of calculating that and they're probably going to go on the higher end, or at least that's the experience that I've had. And so people get charged a higher shipping label than even I would pay for. And, and that then can price your item out of being competitive. It is also going to affect the overall amount of what I'm going to charge for a listing. And if shipping is super expensive, it can very easily price you out of being competitive. Right now, everybody's AI listing, which we'll talk about that in another week, but it's suddenly the markets are getting flooded. And by markets, I mean the listings are getting flooded. As somebody who purchases on eBay, I have a hard time finding what I want because I am inundated with listings. And even when I narrow things down with keyword searches and sorting, I still get things that have nothing to do with what I'm looking for pop up. So much stuff gets flooded into my feed and half of it is stuff that I'm not even interested in. It's not even what I was looking for in the first place, which makes my buying experience more time consuming. And so if I price something too high because of shipping, depending on how much that person is willing to spend and what their finances are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it might be out of reach for them, or they're no longer willing to pay that amount for what I'm selling. So that is also something that's going to affect me. It's going to affect what I sell. I will have to really think carefully about the heavier stuff that I sell because of those higher shipping charges. And so basically, it is going to affect my bottom line. One way or the other, whether I update shipping costs or whatever, it is going to affect my business. And as things become more and more expensive and people start feeling more squeezed with their pocketbook, they're going to buy less and less stuff that is, stuff that I sell, things that are not necessities. These are more wants. If you're looking for something specific, something broke and you need a replacement, or, you want something completely cool and different or vintage, that's what I've got. I am not selling health insurance. I'm not selling rent, so these are not necessities. So if people are stretched financially, what I'm selling is going to be the first thing that they're going to cut from their budget.
Hello.
Hello. One of those, please.
Oh. Good choice. They're £5.
What do we do about it? Okay, and this is kind of unorthodox, but the very first thing to do is to admit that it freaking sucks. And that it's not fair. We can get into discussions about a free and fair market, but like I mentioned, other companies have deals and are able to provide shipping, especially if they're bigger. They can absorb more of the cost as well. And so they are able to handle what's going to happen a lot better than me. And then that doesn't necessarily mean that the best product is going to win out at the end of the day. It's more of who can wait it out, right? And who can who has the biggest deal and who has the most money. So acknowledging that it's not fair and this is bullshit, I think is my first step. Because if I go on and just try and be Pollyanna and be like, everything's great, we're just going to plan accordingly and do our best, which we will. But I think without acknowledging the way I feel that it is unfair, and feelings are not facts, right? But this is the way I feel. And acknowledging that and taking a minute to kind of I don't want to say mourn it, but just realize the situation is helpful to me, because then I can get past that and I can be like, okay, so what do I do about this? So to acknowledge how much of that statement online from the post office was bullshit, and how they are not looking out for the consumer or for their constituents, because technically it is part of a government program that was created by the Congress to make sure that we're all able to receive mail. And so understanding that and then moving on from that, I think has been very big for me. I'm not part of one of the governors for the post office. I have no say in anything that goes on with the government. We normie people here, peons, really have little say in what goes on. We try, but it's sometimes very difficult. So, I can write to my representative. I can start a petition, which are two very great options, but is that going to change the reality of the situation right now? No. So what else can we do? How do we make things better for myself and for the buyer? So for myself, like I said, being very specific about my listings, I think is going to be very important. Also being more aware of the amount that I'm charging with my flat rate shipping and updating that accordingly. In addition, when it comes to returns on eBay, you can say that you don't accept returns, but then eBay really discourages that and it can become a whole thing. And so, most people accept returns. It's fair, sometimes things happen. So, having that option, and people have gotten used to returns. Again, thank you, Amazon. So, but with eBay, if you have a return, you have to pay for it. eBay does not pay for that return label. And so with shipping prices being more expensive, it is hard to accept returns, or it's going to be very expensive to accept returns. And listen, that's a part of doing business. Everybody will say, I worked at Starbucks. Starbucks has a whole section of their business model where they account for things like theft and spoilage and all that stuff. It is a part of doing business, and it is going to happen. If you do it long enough, it will happen at some point. So that's great. But when you are a smaller company, those returns and that amount that you're going to be spending on those returns can really eat into your profits. So what I can do is I can remember to think like a buyer. By giving people as much information as possible, we are allowing them to make as much of an informed decision. And then from there, they know what they're getting. So we make it as transparent as possible. They will hopefully be less likely to return it due to something that I didn't disclose. So we're allowed 24 photos on eBay, right? I, for the most part, unless, it seems a little like superfluous, like will put 24 photos in there. I want you to see it from every single angle. You are not here with me, so let me give you as much information as possible. Showing things like measurements, disclosing and showing all the flaws and making them as noticeable as possible is also very important. So I can make sure that my listings are set up for success. And, like I said, there's nothing you can do about it. There will still be returns. But what I can do is at least give myself the best chance. Also, too, because shipping is going to be more expensive, how many things can I bundle? So things like, if you have toddler or baby clothes, like people with kids, they go through so many clothes because, children grow. And so buying something secondhand, especially for these times, I think is fantastic. And so if I have baby or toddler clothes that are in the same size, putting them together, things like I love Athleta leggings. I wear them all the time. I get them from the bins. I also pick them up all the time because I think they're good quality. I have quite a few that are in the same size. So bundling those together, like things that I think that would be beneficial for people to, to bundle those, I think is also going to be helpful because that will help save on shipping for both the buyer and for myself.
That's all, folks.
So that's it. The rest of this video is just going to be looking at the numbers. Like I said, it was a pretty rough week. Yeah. I definitely last week was talking about listing more, and I'm being a lot better about taking less time on my listings, even though I'm putting effort into it and trying to be as detailed as possible. Just really understanding, like I said, what the buyer is going to look for. And so what information do I need to disclose? I do need to increase. It just seems like I have a lot going on with my professional life and my personal life. And so it's hard when, especially as somebody who's self-employed, to find time. You have all the time in the world, but it's then it's easy to put it off because you're like, oh, I can do that later. And then it's 10 o'clock and you're tired. And when you're tired and, it's maybe not the best time to, list stuff. Maybe. So it's okay, let's, even though this is a secondary income, it is trying to pay some of my bills and stuff. And so I need to treat it a little bit more seriously and be a little bit more diligent. So I think I got close to 30 listings last week. So let's keep going. And I'm just going to kind of at least right now, see about trying to get 30 listings a week and then, go from there. But I just want to be consistent right now. Anyhow, housekeeping. So I go through the sales of the week. I get to what's called the pre-net. So every week I do the amount that the buyer pays, and then I take out the platform fees. I take out any shipping labels that I have to purchase, and I take out any commission fees that I pay out. I sell some things on consignment, and that's where we get what I call the pre-net. Why I call it a pre-net is because at the end of the month, I then go in for the sales for the entire month, and I take out all the other expenses that we need to account for, which are things like cost of goods, shipping supplies, subscription services that I have, making sure that I set aside money for taxes. Whether or not I pay that is, up to me and my tax software, but just at least to make sure that I have that money saved aside. And that's where we get as close to a net profit that, my tiny brain can kind of handle. So that's where we're at. Let's look at it. I've talked enough to myself. Oh, and really quickly, the sales for the day are basically all the sales that I took to the post office on that day. So, like, when I talk about sales from Monday, it's basically the sales from over the weekend as well, because I generally don't send things to the post office on Saturday, and, Sunday, they're not open. So, on Monday, I had 3 sales, all 3 of them on Poshmark, which was nice because I didn't have to purchase eBay labels. I sold this very fun Jellycat London Rainbow Ostrich Pom-Pom plush. It sold for $12 and Poshmark released $9.05. Then I sold this vintage Mel Brooks Spaceballs, May the Schwartz be with you button. Spaceballs is now getting a reboot like every single other movie from the 90s and 2000s. Come on, Hollywood, let's get it together. All of this nostalgia marketing and like doing sequels to movies that came out like 20 years ago. It's just, let's do something new. Anyways, rant over. That sold for $10 and Poshmark released $7.05. Then I found this unique vintage pinup red and black fuzzy cardigan sweater that had all over bows on it, like bow design. I love unique vintage. It's I wear those dresses a lot when I sing on Sundays. It sold for $12 and Poshmark released $9.05. So my pre-net for Monday was $25.15. So as you can see, we are starting off slow. On Tuesday, we had 3 sales, 2 on eBay, 1 on Poshmark. We had this 1998 Guns N' Roses Welcome to the Videos DVD, and that sold for $10 with $4.50 shipping, and eBay released $11.73. Then we have this vintage Magic the Gathering promo playmat. It was actually my boyfriend's. It sold for $10 with $4.50 shipping, and eBay released $12.18. Then on Poshmark, we have this Petite La Cabana pink Hawaiian button-up shirt. It sold for $12 and Poshmark released $9.05. What was released to me from the platforms was $32.96. Then we have to take out the 2 eBay shipping labels, which were $4.47 and $5.77, for a grand pre-net total for the day of $22.72. Wednesday, we had 0 sales. Yeah, it is what it is. I didn't have to go to the post office, so we saved money on gas. That's looking on the bright side of things. On Thursday, we had 2 sales, and the first one was a vintage golden fleece Brooks Brothers pink polo. I've had this for a while. It sold for $15 with $5 shipping, and eBay released $16.87. Then we had this acrylic counted cross-stitch coaster. It sold for $9 with $4 shipping, and eBay released $10.84. So eBay released $27.71, but we have to take out 2 shipping labels that cost me way more than I charged the buyers. This is what I talk about when I'm saying that I'm charging less to the buyer than it's actually costing me for the shipping label, because as you can see, both of these, the amount that I actually paid for the shipping label was quite a bit more than I charged the buyer. So I have to be really cognizant about that and really make sure that I'm aware of this and that it like imprints in my brain, right? So I can make better choices. But those labels were $6.43 and $5.77. And so my very paltry pre-net for the day was $15.51. Then on Friday, we had 2 sales, 1 on eBay, 1 on Poshmark. The first one was a 2011 WWE WrestleMania Randy Orton figure. It sold for $15 with $5 shipping, and eBay released $16.89. And then on Poshmark, we have this pair of Torrid Bombshell wide leg jeans, and that sold for $20, and Poshmark released $16. So the amount released to me from the platforms was $32.89. I still have to take out 1 eBay shipping label, which was $5.77. And so my pre-net for the day was $27.12. And so my very, very, very sad pre-net for the week, yes, feel sorry for me, was $90.50. It is what it is. Keep chugging along. There are some things that I have there can be a million reasons why I had a crappy week of sales. It could be the stuff that I'm selling. It could be the prices that I'm selling them at. It could be the fact that I don't promote them. And that's a whole nother subject for another week. It could be the economy. It's the economy, stupid, right? I mean, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the pinch of everything like going up price wise. So it makes sense that other people would be feeling that too. All of that could be a factor. And so all I can do is make the best informed decisions that I can with the information that I'm given. eBay and all the other platforms can show me some analytics. They can show me like how many people are looking at my listing. But for the most part, and I doubt that they know this information as well, but we don't know why. Like somebody could be looking at my listing because they're selling the same thing and they want to see what I did. Or somebody could be looking at my listing because they want it and maybe the price is too high. Or somebody could be looking at my listing and they don't purchase it because it's the wrong size. Or there's too many flaws or blah, 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 blah. If I don't have that information, there's not a lot I can do except to keep going and to just be aware of the information that I am given, to be honest with myself and to be honest with, my buyers as much as possible, to provide as great of a service as I can. You can't please everybody, but you can do your best and then keep going. And, for the empathic capitalism part, I'm still like, I know I've said I'm bringing the ladies at the post office cookies. I will be doing that. It is not their fault that the price is increased. And I'm sure they're probably going to get an earful from people. So that is on the docket. I will do that. It may not happen this week. It may have to happen next week because this week I'm already volunteering at a soup kitchen. And then I had quite a few things going on this week professionally. But we will get to that. We will be a part of the solution. Let's keep going. And I hope anybody who might watch this, hopefully you're doing better than me. But if you're not, just know that you're not alone. And, hopefully we can get through this together and be successful. It may not happen, but we'll do our best for sure. So that's it. Have a wonderful week. Carpe Diem. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. There is no need to smash a like button or to subscribe to anything. I am not selling jack. I'm not monetized. I have 2 followers and 22 on my other channel. I have nothing to sell. I have no affiliate links. I think that for me, it gets exhausting watching things on YouTube where people are just hawking this, that, and the other. And it's a lot. So I got none of that for you. And I'm just grateful. But have a wonderful week. Let's check in next week. Hopefully it gets better. And if not, we will talk about it, right? So take care. Thank you so much. Peace.